What's up, guys? Welcome into another episode of the Wolverine Live Recruiting Show. I'm your host, EJ Holland. Alongside me is my co-host, Zach Libby. Michigan's first summer official visit weekend in the books under Sherrone. More, we'll talk about that and much more. Before we do, a reminder to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Liking this video helps us get in front of other Michigan fans and we can keep up the chat discussion. And subscribing gets you updates on everything Michigan recruiting, football, basketball. We're always uploading new videos here on our YouTube channel. And also, since it is official visit season, we have a special promo code for you guys. Use the promo code UM1 for the Wolverine.com, where you can get even more intel on everything coming out of official visit weekend. $1 for 2 months using the promo code UM1 over at the Wolverine.com. So get even more intel over there, plus insider team news on football team, basketball team, NIL transfer portal, and so much more. Plus, you get to be part of a great message board community with like 9,000 or 10,000 unique individual users. So come join the discussion. Today, it looks like people are hungry, Zach. That's the only thing popping up in the chat right now. Are you hungry? How are you doing?
I am hungry, and that's what I first noticed when I got on here. But yeah, no, looking forward to breaking down last weekend's first official visit weekend for Sherrone Moore. A lot of intel these past couple of days, so looking forward to breaking it all down.
Yeah, so we will be breaking down the official visit weekend. We'll also be previewing this week's official visitors, and it looks like we already have an OT question of the day, which we'll save for the end. But Zach, let's start off with this past weekend. Michigan hosted 5 top 150 recruits. I don't know why I said 150. Top 150 recruits, and so yeah, it was a small but talented group of prospects in Ann Arbor. Let's go ahead and start off with your guys at Bishop Gorman, and specifically top 100 wide receiver Derek Meadows. Now, some buzz coming out that Michigan feels better about its chances. I had a story up with Meadows where he gave mostly positive quotes, but the usual quotes you'd expect after the official visit. Do you feel like things have changed here with Meadows? I mean, how are you kind of taking his recruitment right now following the visit?
I think based on his reaction that he provided you, and I guess knowing what the objective was heading into the weekend, I think Michigan did everything it could in terms of setting the bar, or at least going all in terms of providing a full breakdown of what Meadows could expect by going to Michigan. I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, I think hammering home the opportunity to play early, if development deems worthy of it, an opportunity to be showcased in an offense where you can be lined up as an X, as a deep threat. I mean, he's 6'5". He's a legit 6'5". So as that deep playmaker that Michigan is vying for this cycle, I mean, Derek fits the bill. His relationship with Ron Bellamy continues to be strong this offseason. Sherrone Moore, who has been a regular over his time with the Wolverines, he's been a regular at Bishop Gorman. So he's been involved. And I guess the Detroit roots that his family is held on both sides of the family is helping in terms of just familiarity. But overall, I think Michigan did everything it could. I think it's just we'll wait and see in terms of if that gets them over the hump when you talk about the Notre Dames of the world or the LSUs or the Alabamas. Notre Dame has a strong lead on the On3 recruiting prediction machine. Alabama and LSU and Georgia are going to get official visits as well. So I think it's just wait and see in terms of how much of an impact this official visit had.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think it's hard to get a true read on where exactly Michigan stands, but I think it's going to be a tough recruitment to win overall when you have Notre Dame with such a heavy lead and the SEC schools still coming up for official visits. But we'll see how things go. To read Meadows' full comments on the OV, head over to the Wolverine.com. So let's stick here on the offensive side of the ball and go with top 100 offensive lineman Douglas Utu, also out of Gorman. You had a chance to catch up with him right after his OV. How are you feeling about Michigan's chances there?
I think I felt pretty strong heading into the official visit weekend, and I don't really have a difference say in terms of lowering that confidence. I mean, this is a kid who's number 3 overall among all projected interior offensive linemen next cycle. He's the kid who's had a Michigan offer for 2 years, and he stated in the interview that I had that his interest in the Wolverines has never dipped throughout that time. I mean, when you think about potentially joining a team that's won back-to-back, Joe Moore awards in the past 3 seasons, playing for a head coach who was once in his shoes at one point as an offensive lineman, and then ultimately going on to play in college. And same goes for Grant Newsome, the offensive line coach, who was once a collegiate offensive lineman. So, I think the official visit kind of set the stage in terms of just, Michigan championing offensive linemen. I think that was a big aspect of the official visit that Douglas got to see for himself in depth. The fact that Ann Arbor is a true football town, it embraces the team. There was that funny story, he told me of how Sherrone, toured the campus alongside the Utu family. And then at times, fans would just bump into them. And every time a fan would ask for a photo, Sherrone Moore never said no. I think that spoke a lot in terms of playing for a coach that the community has embraced, has kind of been picked. They've picked him as the guy to lead this team, post national championship era. So overall, I think, just spending more time with the coaches too, being with Micah Kapana, a former Bishop Gorman teammate who's now on campus after signing this past cycle, was big. And then just learning more about the educational side. He wanted to see the Ross Business School. He did some research beforehand and found out, I think the business school he said he thought was number 4 overall in the country. And then numbers 1, 2, and 3 were Ivy Leagues. So the combination of that, and then the nutritional side, the strength and conditioning side, I think it all, again, just kind of gave him a glimpse of what it'd be like to play for a team that develops offensive linemen to the utmost degree. So we'll see, because he has Alabama this next upcoming weekend, I think, and then Tennessee, Oregon, and Nebraska. So after that, we'll see, kind of get a feel of where everything stands, because there's no commitment date set right now. So it's all about monitoring these next few weeks.
Yeah, I think Michigan has built momentum in this recruitment, and a lot of recruits say set the bar, but I actually do think they've set the bar with Utu. It's more of just seeing how these next official visits go. It's always tough to go first, but as you can see, Michigan has the lead on the On3 recruiting prediction machine coming out of the OV weekend. Let's go ahead and move over to the defensive side of the ball now. Michigan fans seemed very, very excited after I tweeted out a picture and photo of DJ Sanders, top 100 defensive lineman out of Texas. So he actually measured in at 6'4", 325 pounds with a 6'11" wingspan. Very similar type of build to Kenneth Grant. I mean, he could be that missing piece that Michigan needs. Now, there aren't a lot of true nose recruits on the board right now. So DJ Sanders is definitely one of those guys that could fill that spot. I thought Michigan did as well as it could have done. I didn't have super high expectations for the Wolverines going into this OV, considering the fact that he is a small town Texas kid. He is in the middle of a very, very Texas A&M influence area, right? In between Houston and Austin, more so towards Houston. That side of the state really leans heavily towards the Aggies. And you see A&M already has that high percentage on the On3 recruiting prediction machine. Texas is set to get them last. So it didn't seem like there was much leeway for Michigan, but I thought they did a great job here. I think they've put themselves in a position to at least contend here. And, something of note here is that he does have family in the Detroit metro. That is how the, connection first started. He's been to campus in the past, so it's not like he just took a free OV. He paid his own dime to come in for a UV in the spring as well. And he has great bloodlines too. So I mean, as a player, he's a terrific prospect. He's a guy ranked in the top 100 for a reason. I talked about the measurables. His cousin's actually Emmanuel Sanders, who played in the NFL for a long time, and he was a senior at SMU when I was a freshman at SMU. So we have kind of that connection going as well. But yeah, I think Michigan is still going to have a tough time winning this recruitment, but you never know. Sanders is very, very quiet, doesn't do a lot of interviews. We'll see how things go with Texas A&M and Texas over the next couple of weeks. Again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm gaining optimism, only to be left with disappointment, but I do think Michigan did as good of a job or even better than expected. So, we'll see what comes of that trip. Also talk about Marco Jones on 300 Edge out of California. Now, Jones has been one of my favorite prospects in this class for a long time. Michigan actually offered him last year as an underclassman, and then was kind of a bit of an afterthought in his recruitment. Michigan wasn't really considered a factor. In fact, early on, it seemed like he was a Notre Dame lean. And I say he was one of my favorite recruits because I've actually known Marco's mentor, Derek Davis, who's based in Northern California, since my time on the Texas beat. And so he actually showed me Marco's film right when Marco was getting that Michigan offer and blowing up, and I instantly fell in love with that film. And then what he did, that season, which was this past season as a junior, was extremely impressive. He plays middle linebacker for his high school, but man, you see the physicality, the sideline to sideline speed. And even though he's playing middle linebacker, you see his potential as an edge because of the length and just the quickness, the explosiveness. He is also a plus athlete that's a star on the baseball diamond. So, from a prospect standpoint, he checks all the boxes. And like I said, Notre Dame was considered the early favorite, more so because he valued academics, the blend of high-level academics and high-level football. And he's very willing to leave the West Coast. So I think Michigan checks a lot of boxes for him as a school. And, I talked to Marco's father, AJ, who actually played college football at Colorado. And he told me after this official visit, he really saw that fit for Marco, the development fit, the culture fit, the academic fit. Now, there's still some heavy hitters left in this recruitment. So I'm pretty optimistic about Marco Jones, but don't want to get too excited about Marco Jones because you still have Texas and Texas A&M coming up. Both of those programs have had him on campus in the past. He's very high on both. And now a new wrinkle in this recruitment is USC is actually getting the final official visit. It's a program that's a little closer to home. Jones is familiar with it. USC also provides some really good academic opportunities as well. So, I still think there's a long way to go in this recruitment. Marco told me he's probably not committing till July. But I do think Michigan, again, much like DJ Sanders, they exceeded expectations on the OV. But again, still a long way to go there. And last is another guy that I'm very fond of, Kainoa Winston. Top 100 defensive back out of the DMV at Gonzaga. Now, I've talked about Winston a lot on this show, how much of a fun player he is, a versatile Swiss Army knife that can fill the Mike Sainristil role at the nickel spot, but he can also move around, play some safety, come up in the box. He's a little bit on the shorter side, but man, he's extremely physical with elite closing speed, which is why he's a top 100 recruit. Now, also, like Marco Jones, I thought Michigan checked a lot of boxes here for Winston. Gonzaga is a rigorous private school in the DMV. You have to be a very good student to even attend there, which Winston is. He takes the academic portion very seriously. He's a culture fit. I also talked to his father, Kelvin, who told me that he kind of came away thinking that as well. He said, all the players we're very academic oriented. We're about their business. We're about professionalism and winning. And he said that players on Michigan's roster actually reminded him of Kainoa. So I think that Michigan is a tremendous fit for Kainoa. I'd love to see him rocking the wing helmet, but the Penn State visit this weekend looms very, very large. He has been to Penn State more than Michigan. He's very comfortable with that program. His cousin KJ is a star for the Nittany Lions, so that certainly helps. So I'm really interested to see where things stand after the Penn State OV. I think, it's probably going to come down to those two schools unless Oregon does something crazy, or North Carolina. But I think it's really going to come down to Michigan, Penn State, and we'll have a true grasp of this recruitment once the Penn State visit is over next weekend. Now, the thing that's very interesting about Winston is he told me he's going to commit this month. Could be tomorrow, could be next week, could be the end of the month. He said really at any time, once he gets that feeling, he's going to make a pick. So I'm not even sure he makes it to North Carolina or Oregon. So again, we'll see how things stand coming out of the Penn State visit, which is absolutely critical this coming weekend. Zach, anything you want to add on those defensive guys? I know they were all guys that, I'm kind of close with, but anything you want to add on them before we head out to our OV preview?
I know you mentioned, but I think the Evan Link connection is big with Kyle Winston, and then the Zeke Berry connection. That was the player host for Marco Jones. West Coast connection, I think, helped a lot. I think just overall the player host this weekend did a phenomenal job. I think we highlighted it pretty well, but I think the reactions with player hosts were huge this weekend too. So I think looking forward to seeing that aspect, especially on Victor's weekend.
Yeah, and like I said, I talked to Kainoa and his dad. I talked to Marco and his dad, and you can read those interviews over at thewolverine.com. Use the promo code UM1, $1 for 2 months. But before we preview this week's official visitors, there are 4 official visitors this week as of right now. They could always add someone late or somebody could change or something like that. We had a change today, and we'll talk about that as well. But before we do that, we have a message from our sponsor, which is just us. The Wolverine magazine is coming out with a football preview. So not only do we have the Wolverine.com, we also have the Wolverine magazine, and the football preview is always a massive thing around Michigan football. You're going to want to pre-order your football preview magazine. It features Will Johnson on the cover, delivers everything you need to know about Michigan football for the 2024 season. Included in this information packed 160-page magazine are a season preview breaking down the Wolverines' best players and position groups, the freshmen most likely to play, and a more detailed position-by-position look at the Wolverines with player bios. You also have player and coach features, historical articles, updates on the Wolverines in the NFL, a final evaluation of the departing recruiting class, a roundtable with national college football experts giving their thoughts on UM, Big Ten preview, expert columns, opponent previews, and much more. Basically, everything you can think of that previews the Michigan football season is included in this preview magazine. So make sure to pre-order yours today. Save $5 with free shipping on pre-orders before June 17th. The magazine will mail in July. Don't miss out on owning your copy so you can get pumped up for the 2024 season. All right, Zach, let's move on to our official visit preview now. 4 official visitors are set to be on campus, but it was supposed to be 5. And Elijah Melendez, as I reported earlier today, will not be making his trip to Michigan. On 300 Miami linebacker commit ran into some travel issues, so he's looking to reschedule in the fall. So we'll focus on these 4 guys as of right now. So if you were expecting some Elijah Melendez talk, it's not going to happen. We will, however, head to running backs. Michigan has 2 running backs on campus this week, including Shakai Mills-Knight, who is currently on campus today. He was a new addition to the visitors list, which I first reported yesterday, I believe. But anyway, this is a kid that Tony Alford offered during the spring evaluation period. He's absolutely been blowing up on the recruiting trail. He's just a 3-star prospect, but he's originally from Canada, pretty new to football. And like I said, been blowing up on the recruiting trail. You see all those SEC schools involved: Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, Ole Miss. Miami just hosted him for an official visit this past weekend. So a lot of heavy hitters involved. Michigan getting its chance this weekend. Like I said, a lot of SEC schools, it seems to have more of a Southern flavor, but being from Canada, I think that opens the door up for Mills Knight a little bit. And also this process is still so new to him because most of his offers have come here recently. So, like I said, Michigan running backs coach Tony Alford saw him during the spring evaluation period, put an offer on the table, has built up a relationship quickly. So I think we'll know more about this recruitment after the OV, but he's a big physical back at 6 foot 210, a lot of potential with the limited football experience, but a bit of an unknown. But a guy we do know more about is Jordan Davison, top 100 running back out of Mater Dei Powerhouse School in California. Now, Zach, you've been in contact with Davison in the past. You know people around his recruitment. The On3 recruiting prediction machine says Ohio State pretty heavily, but the Buckeyes just landed a commitment from Bo Jackson at the running back position. Any hope for Michigan to make a move with Jordan Davison?
I mean, they're not. I wouldn't say that they're the leader. I think the On3 recruiting prediction machine is correct. I feel like Ohio State has done quite a bit despite having lost Tony Alford this offseason, and then now with Carlos Lachlan in. I think Ohio State still has the lead. That's still in even while the Buckeyes just landed a commitment not too long ago today in Bo Jackson. I think that would be the ideal haul for the Buckeyes. So in order for Michigan to, garner momentum, potentially vault over its rival, I mean, this official visit has to go exceptional. The early, this isn't the first time that Jordan's been to Michigan. In fact, he's been there 3 times, but this is going to be the second time that he'll be there with Alford on campus. I think being the only running back helps a lot. The pre-existing relationship between Alford and Davison is going to be a huge tool in order to move the needle, showcasing the offense more in depth and how Jordan can be, the every down running back in an offense that prides itself on running the ball is going to be a significant, talking point during this official visit weekend. And then also, I think just getting more acclimated to the new coaching staff with, new offensive coordinator Kirk Campbell and head coach Sherrone Moore. Again, this can be the 4th time that he visits Ann Arbor, but only the 2nd time that the new coaching staff has been in place. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of comes out of it, the thoughts that Jordan has, what his inner circle and his loved ones kind of feel about Michigan afterwards. Because right now, Ohio State, I still believe is the leader. And I think, finding a way to vault over them is the objective in this recruitment.
Yeah, I would still favor Ohio State here, despite them landing Bo Jackson. And even if Ohio State doesn't end up getting Jordan Davison, I think the biggest threat to the Buckeyes is Oregon. Obviously they're a major NIL player. They really want Davison. Their new running backs coach, Rashad Samples, has NFL experience and is a very young, magnetic recruiter as well. He's younger than me, so he's like in his late 20s, and I know he's connected really well with Davison. The only reason I know that is I covered Rashad Samples as a recruit, so interested to see how he does as the running backs coach at Oregon. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of work to do here for Michigan. Tony Alford, has a pre-existing relationship with him, but again, really, really tough recruiting battle to win. We'll see if we feel any different coming out of the official visit. So let's stay on the offensive side of the ball and on the western part of the United States and go back to Bishop Gorman. Michigan getting ready to host another top 100 offensive lineman out of the national powerhouse in S.J. Alatafuli, which I'm sure I butchered. So, Zach, what can you tell us about S.J.? You were recently in Las Vegas, got a chance to spend some time with him. How are you feeling about Michigan's chances there?
I think you kind of feel the same way about Alatafuli and his other teammate in Bishop Gorman, who's visiting the following weekend, and Eli Kalani'Ovalu. The same way, you kind of have to picture them the same way as Douglas Utu in terms of overall interest level, because like Utu, that official visit wasn't his first time in Ann Arbor, and then this upcoming official visit for SJ is going to be a return as well. He's had the offer from Michigan well over 2 years, exactly like Utu. His familiarity with Sherrone Moore is just as strong. The communication this offseason has been just as prevalent with Moore and Newsome. So this official visit, I mean, you got to hit all the points that you kind of did with Utu in terms of setting that bar of, developing properly as an offensive lineman en route to a career in the NFL. SJ, I do see him as a projected interior type. He could play center, he could play guard. At either position, I think, he's a powerful human being, a road grader, hit all the cliche terms, but, he'd do really well as that interior type on Michigan's offensive line. Just a well-rounded kid off the field. But in terms of what he's kind of looking for, I mean, he's been to a game already. He's been for the game against Ohio State. So he's seen the top of what to expect should you play at home at the Big House. That trip with Micah Kapanda and then the aforementioned Kalani'Ovalu, I mean, that really kind of piqued his interest in terms of just what it's like to play for a team where all eyes are on you. I think this official visit is going to be big, considering he's going to be, there's not going to be a lot of guys there. So a lot of focus will be on him. I think Newsome, who's, this offseason we've kind of been learning in terms of just how good of a recruiter and relatable guy he is to families. I think that's going to be proven yet again with SJ and his loved ones. I know when I've been talking to SJ, his parents have spoken to the coaching staff, and they were really impressed with what they've heard. So I think overall sentiment following it, I predict it's going to be the same in terms of just Utu perspective, just getting to hit all the finer points and just kind of learning more of what it'd be like to play for an offensive line that's, I guess, championed, right, at a school like Michigan.
Before we talk about our final visitor, I see some people asking a few questions in the chat. Tomorrow is the Q&A show, but if you want a question answered on tonight's show, make sure to leave a super chat. We will answer your question on tonight's show, and that money goes directly to our travel budget so we can continue to see Michigan's top targets across the country. All right, our last official visitor that we will talk about tonight is on 300 edge, Julius Hawley out of Georgia. Now, Hawley is a kid that's just started to generate more and more interest. Michigan just extended an offer during the spring evaluation period. He was considered a Stanford lean early on, but this has become more SEC heavy. Georgia offered him after hosting him for a camp. I'm told that, it's still kind of iffy here on whether Georgia will push or not, but there are other SEC schools involved as well, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, but he is a high academic kid. Like I said, Stanford was once considered the leader. So do you think Michigan has a true shot here, Zach?
So he's going to commit no later than August, which is what he told On3's Chad Simmons. It's sort of, if you want to defeat the in-state school, you want to defeat the Southern schools. I mean, you got to just you kind of have to show the history of the edge position at Michigan. I think it's fairly simple. Show what happens if you go to a school like Michigan, get developed, and over time you become that bona fide draft pick that's been, I guess, a really nice recruiting pitch for Michigan when you talk about edge targets. So, the state of Georgia, Michigan's really building a strong presence there with this new coaching staff. I think landing a kid like Julius Holly would be superb in terms of just landing a foot, putting a foot in that state, which is, one of the greatest hotbeds in this country. So I think there's a lot on the line for not just adding numbers at a position that Michigan has successfully recruited well in recent years, but also just what it could mean for geographic reasons.
So the SEC schools are obviously scary here, but I think the fact that Stanford was once the leader, and we just saw Andrew Babalola get projected to go to Stanford, and he's a 5-star recruit. I think that could open the door for Michigan's, transformational over transactional pitch to actually again open the door for a move in the Holly recruitment. So he's another one, kind of like Shakai Mills-Knight, just late riser. I feel like we'll get a better grasp for his recruitment following the OV. Like I said, guys, if you want a question answered tonight, last call for super chats. If not, we'll do the OT question of the day. And Tyson Smith said, what cold food is underrated? Have you given this any thought, Zach?
Sushi.
Yuck. I don't want to eat raw meat. I mean, raw seafood, man. First of all, seafood is, I'm not going to say seafood's bad because, some seafood is good. I'll definitely take a shrimp po' boy all day. If you can make some good flounder, I'll take that, some tuna steak. So, I'll eat seafood, but I can only have it once every now and then. Like, I feel like it'll make me queasy if I eat too much seafood. Like, I like the fish fillet sandwich at Culver's, pretty good. But if you're talking about sushi, first of all, again, the fish makes me queasy. So if you're going to eat the fish raw, that is absolutely disgusting. Get out of here. I mean, what are you? Are you a cat? Like, come on, stop this. So definitely not sushi.
Tuna, salmon, crab. You can put anything in that sushi and I'll eat it.
That's disgusting.
Like popcorn, just like popcorn.
Terrible. I will go with, I'll just be really, really bland here because I really enjoy it. It's a good go-to lunch in a quick hurry on the road. Kind of signifies some a road trip, some chicken salad, man. Go with some chicken salad's good. I love chicken salad for some reason. Like I know some people really don't like it. Seems like Zach thinks it's trash, but it's good, man. I'm telling you, like chicken salad is a go-to. It's great for us because we're always on the road. So chicken salad, man.
It's an expression, really, not much of a food choice for me.
I think you should give chicken salad a try and then come back and be like, man, chicken salad is actually good.
Next time I'm at Sheetz, I'll get it.
No. What?
Like a gas station chicken salad, like that's always
No, that's terrible. Just go to like your local fresh market or something. But anyway, that wraps up our show tonight. For more Michigan official visit coverage, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and subscribe to the Wolverine.com. I'll be back tomorrow for our Q&A show, so make sure to tune in then.